Google's Sergey Brin is facing a story right out of the pages of the gossip magazines. Brin and his wife of 6 years, Anne Wojcicki, have separated, and this comes amid reports that Brin is having an affair with a Google staffer. The news was first reported by All Things D, which also reports that same employee was also linked to Hugo Berra, who has just left Google for Chinese handset maker Xiaomi. So how does a company like Google deal with this kind of situation, and can it impact the business? Joining me now to discuss is Bloomberg Business Week's Brad Stone. And obviously this is a hugely personal story, but it could have business implications because Sergey Brin reportedly had an affair with a Google employee. Could it have business implications?
Well, I mean, let's acknowledge it's terribly unfortunate for Sergey and his family. He has 2 young kids. Does it hurt Google? I'm not entirely sure. Sergey hasn't been central to the management of the company for some time. He's off running Google X, their secret lab, working on driverless cars.
But Google Glass is supposed to
Right.
be their next major project.
I think it does hurt Sergey's credibility a little bit. I mean, he's been a public face of Google, always one of the more kind of idealistic voices at Google, talking about don't be evil and the benefits of making the world's information available and accessible. I think it's hard for him to go out, at least for the foreseeable future, and talk about those high-minded things when he does have this personal issue.
What about the power dynamics? I mean, could there be lawsuits given that they work together and he's obviously in a very powerful position?
And all sorts of awkwardness, right? Anne Wojcicki's sister, Susan Wojcicki, is the senior vice president.
Exactly.
Her husband works at Google. We don't know. They're claiming it's somewhat amicable. It's a little hard to believe. As you said, Hugo, the face of Android, has left the company to go to Xiaomi in China. Perhaps related. So already there have been some repercussions. I wouldn't want to be sitting in that.
And if in fact it is related, Hugo's hugely important to Android, to the future of mobile, through Google's eyes. If that was a consequence of this, that obviously could have a negative impact on the company.
Right. Right. No, we don't know. But certainly an awkward time to be in those senior management.
Now, this has happened before at other companies. Mark Hurd, when he was the CEO of HP, had an inappropriate relationship with a contractor. Brian Dunn of Best Buy had an inappropriate relationship with an employee. Both of them are no longer at those companies. Could this go down that path? Well,
let's specify. So Mark Hurd, as I recall, was accused of sexual harassment. Brian Dunn, Best Buy had a policy against these kinds of relationships, so he had to resign. It's not clear that any policy has been violated. Sergey Brin is a co-founder. He owns 16, I think, % of the company. He's not going anywhere. But clearly, it's as we know throughout history, it's never a great thing.
Well, I'm sure this story will continue to unfold in the press and on the gossip pages. Brad Stone, thanks so much for weighing in. Brad Stone of Bloomberg Business Week.